you are going to ride a Ferris wheel, which of course goes up and then down, and then up and then down. And your height above the ground as you ride is a function of time, where t is measured in seconds. Let's stop right here and write seconds on the x-axis, t-axis technically. And height is measured in meters. So the y-axis, or the h-axis in this case, because this height is meters. The function and the graph are below. All right, so there's a lot that we can tell from this. Before I even read the questions, I'm just going to go ahead and start rambling out a few little things that I know. And I noticed that the amplitude is 13. So with an amplitude of 13, that's going to help me as I deviate from my midline. You can also call it an average. You can also call it a vertical shift, 17. And we'll deal with the period as well. Let's take care of the period. The period is going to be 2 pi over this value, and this value right here is b. That right there is b. So 2 pi over this. If you want a little shortcut, if you have a situation like this, you can cancel the pi's, and you'll be left with 2 over 1/16, and then 2 times 16 is going to give you 32. And we can put some units on this as well. It might come in handy. So the period is a measurement of horizontal distance. So this is going to be seconds. That's period. And this is also the period. You can look at it graphically by going from bottom to bottom or top to top. So either one of those is going to be the period. So this is going to be 32 seconds long. This is also 32 seconds long. And any place on this graph, and then you're going to connect it to, or find the distance between that and the next place where it touches that after one period, would be 32 seconds long. So like here, not there, but there, that's 32 seconds from here to here. Just saying. Okay, so 32 seconds there. The midline is 17 meters, good to know. And the amplitude is 13 meters, which means I'm really answering a lot of the questions that'll happen down here. But let's just get our thoughts out first. And then we can jump into the questions. How high are you above the ground when you've been on the Ferris wheel for 5 minutes? Okay, so be careful. I'm tempted to find the height at 5 minutes. No, you're not going to find the height at 5 minutes. You're going to find the height at 5 minutes, but you're really going to find, wait for it, 5 minutes times 60 seconds per minute is 300 seconds. Yeah, be careful with that. So we need h of 300. Make sure whatever you're doing this on, you're in radians. So let's do that. We're going to have, let's see, 13 cosine, I am in radians by the way, pi over 16, and then 300 minus 16, and then plus 17. And I got 26.19. Okay, 26.19 watt. We're dealing with height. That would be meters. Okay, what's the diameter of the Ferris wheel? Now, clearly you don't have to draw this, but we can do this with a little bit of common sense and a good little visual here. So there's Ferris wheel. You're riding on it, and there's the center of it. And it goes down to the bottom, but then there's a little bit more, and then it also goes up to the top. So we're going to have a radius here. The whole thing right here is the diameter. So let's think logically about what all this means. This point right here is the maximum. And that maximum, we went through this on previous problem, that maximum is going to be, well, let's see, my midline is 17, and then I would go 13 up from that. So that's going to give me a maximum of 30, which I kind of knew by looking at the graph, right? So you can look at the graph, you can figure it out from the equation. My minimum, your feet are dangling here. This is your minimum. That's the lowest you go on this. There's your midline, and then we're going to subtract 13. That's going to give me 4 meters, and then there we go, 30 meters and 4 meters. So if you want to figure this thing out in terms of the diameter, it's really not going to be that complicated. It would be this distance right here. So I would travel from a lowest of 40 to a highest of 30, and so 30 minus 4, I said 40, I meant 4. Lowest of 4 to a high of 30, and that's going to give me 26. So what's the diameter of the Ferris wheel? 26 meters. And then we can write a little bit here. Using correct units to interpret the period, amplitude, and midline of this function. So the amplitude is 13 meters. So the height of the person let's spell it correctly, riding the Ferris wheel will reach 13 meters above and below the midline of 17 meters, we'll abbreviate that too. And then we also know the period. The period is 32 seconds, which means it takes 32 seconds to complete one full cycle. The period is 32